Seeing as how I've been saying I should get back to my roots, I figured I might as well take a stab at this Daredevil versus Echo fight scene everybody's been talking about. Considering it has Daredevil in it, and my first ever video essay was on that epic hallway fight from the first season of his show, it just seemed appropriate that this would be the one to bring me back into the fight scene analysis game. I know in the near decade since Netflix Daredevil came out, Marvel's quality has taken a nosedive, to say the least. I mean, look no further than the tailspin that's been their box office numbers. But as bad as it's been for them on the big screen, it's been even worse on Disney+. However, even with all that, Charlie Cox did sign on for this project, and he loves the character. So I guess at least someone still gives a shit, right?
That is one big pile of shit.
Fuck me, this one is bad. I guess it's time to break out the trusty C4. Though since I'm not gonna watch any more of this shit show outside of this fight that I have zero context for, it's gonna be hard to talk about consequences, so today it's just C3. There's a lot to unpack in this 1 minute of footage. So let's take this one step at a time. Within the first 3 seconds, we see that neither Echo nor Daredevil are coming anywhere close to their intended targets. A far cry from what we saw in Daredevil's own show. In order for any fight scene to maintain believability, it is instrumental that the choreography appears authentic. Regardless of a person's combat experience, even the untrained eye can see when you're not even aiming for your opponent. Look, I get that one of them is blind, but that excuse doesn't explain this shit. Wait a minute, isn't Daredevil the one who can't see? Someone should tell the actors they're reading the script backwards. For the sake of the actors involved, I really hope that this was a filmed rehearsal that accidentally got put into the final product. Considering this show is rated TVMA, you'd think violence would be a given. But this bloodless affair lacks any degree of credibility. First, Echo receives this wallop in the face from essentially a titanium pipe from a significantly larger opponent, only to shrug it off and immediately attack again. No concussion, no bloody nose, not even a slight disorientation. This is followed by an unchecked shot to the floating rib, which she again recovers from immediately to deliver one of the most pointless strike attempts you'll ever see, resulting in yet another impact to an extremely vulnerable area, the fibula. Despite having zero reason to, Daredevil turns his back and retreats from Echo, which results in quite possibly the most hilariously telegraphed kick of all time. I mean, just look at this. Not only was this done ridiculously slow and lacked any type of power behind it, it also happens to be the same leg that not even 3 seconds ago was smashed with, and I'll say it again, a fucking titanium pipe. The human leg is truly a wonder of the natural world, capable of bearing our weight, but still nimble enough to do things like this. But we have yet to evolve to the point of being able to simply no-sell blunt force trauma. Has anyone in this production seen Misery? Because I feel it would blow their minds. What the fuck now? Hello? No, of course I haven't seen Hawkeye. I couldn't give 2 shits about that show. What do you mean she has a prosthetic leg? How many fucking disabilities can they squeeze into one fight scene? Yes, this changes things. It raises completely different problems. No, I'm not gonna change the script. I already recorded that section and it came out really good. Don't worry, I'll just do some damage control or something. So it's been brought to my attention that she is in fact an amputee. This actually doesn't aid the situation at all. In actuality, it adds 2 additional issues. First, she is actively attacking with this leg, placing one of her greatest physical weaknesses directly in the line of fire. This would lead to issue 2. That leg is fucked for a completely different reason. Forget a broken fibula, this thing would be bent in half and completely compromised now, literally turning her into a one-legged woman in an ass-kicking contest, which generally doesn't bode well for those involved.
No, Brock, no! Oh my God, an F5, the leg off the steel post!
This isn't to say that people with similar disabilities are incapable of achieving proficiency in martial arts. I've personally trained with similar people, and some of them were savages. But one common denominator for all of them is that they learn to compensate for it, not just act as if everything is normal. The speed of this fight is god-awful and lacks any sense of urgency from either combatant. It feels like less of a struggle and more like an annoyance that they're fighting. And with the constant pauses to allow Echo to gather herself for another attack, this fight begins to experience a phenomena that I like to call mook chivalry. Simply put, it's when your opponent waits for their turn to attack like it's some sort of weird turn-based strategy game. Oddly enough, this usually involves multiple assailants, but in this case, Echo is so bad that Daredevil needs to utilize this strategy alone, just to bring this fight ever so slightly closer to the middle ground. The last thing I want to touch on for credibility is this small, insignificant little detail about this fight. You can't dodge a shotgun shell. That's the whole point of them. Honestly, I can't sum this up any better than Bill Burr, so I'm just gonna let him take over for a moment.
Got a good spread. In fact, you got a problem over here, you ain't even gotta look. You just turn, wow, that's it. You ain't got a problem over here anymore.
Now, cinematography for fight scenes is always difficult. Sometimes no matter what you do, it's impossible to get it just right. But here, it doesn't even feel like they're trying. The light coming through the back window not only makes it hard to see the choreography, it's flat out distracting. Perhaps that's by design so you ignore the terrible choreography. The constantly shifting camera is also a problem as we lose track of where people are, only for them to walk back into frame without us seeing how they recovered. You'd also think that with the camera being operated by a mentally deficient chimpanzee, they would at least occasionally accidentally not show the complete lack of contact with every strike. But instead, they seem to revel in the fact that they highlight each one, further dragging people out of their suspension of disbelief. It's truly amazing how far they've fallen since the old Netflix days. Seriously, how can these two products not only share a universe, but feature the same actor? And if this massive mountain of miasmic manure doesn't convince you that the MCU is dead, and that you should just not even bother with Echo, I'm not sure anything I could possibly say would do the trick. By the way, one of the few things I'm qualified to say in life is this. I really wish that movies and TV shows would stop making it seem like it's this easy to break someone's neck.